Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, January 2nd. Would you look at that? It's the New Year's here. Get ready to talk about what we're not going to get or what we possibly will get in 2026. On that note, my friends, let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who the heck do we have in the chat? Because the chat is where it's at. Amika Rules is here along with Bradley. Good to see you, Bradley. Brains. Dave C's here along with Eliza Teal. We've got Eric Roth and the Gurus. Evan B is around along with Firefly, Firestarter, Frank Cathell, Geraldine Durazio, J Cat Meow, Kathy, and Kelly Brote with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. We got King Bull. Let's see. Megan Betts popped up along with Meninopolis. We got Neil Morgan and our resident Pitbull. Yes, that would be, of course, Niles Guy. Pun intended, my friends. Look at this picture. Who else we've got out there? We've got Sam. Scooby Dooby Gooby's been around since, I think he's one of the first guys that showed up here today. How about that? We got Shelly Montgomery. Steve Mateo's out there along with Strange Fractal. Super Unknowns here. Tenbrus Anima. Oh, I know who that is here. The Wasteland's around. Turtlehead 420, X42B here, and Yankee 5858. How about that? Before I go ahead and jump over, let me admit all the people back into the show. We'll see. I have no idea who I let in, but let's keep your fingers ready, Mike. We're about to have a blast and a half, my friend. On that note, let's go ahead and jump into the studio and welcome in our dear friend Mike Disclosure, the new sheriff in town. Oh, God, I got to get to this one. Here we go. Mike, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, Thomas. Been a little bit under the weather recently because of what's been going on with the change of season and climate, but we've talked about that on the show as well, as far as the crazy weather we've been having.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm doing well. We're going to have a fun show, I believe, tonight.
Oh, gosh, yeah, a bunch of different stuff to talk about. You know, it comes down to it. Our headline is, which we'll be talking about through the season and where we're going to go. No major hearings are planned coming in 2026. That's coming from Representative Eric Burlison in an interview that just happened earlier today that we'll be going through some tidbits on. So no major hearings, Mike. There are 5 whistleblowers out there. Of one of them may be something substantial. It's something that came out actually earlier last week. But it sounds like we're in for a slow letdown.
Yeah, it looks like 2026 is going to be shaping up the same way 2024 did, and then 2025. So here we go again, Thomas. Back to square one.
Knock it down a notch. But, you know, we wanted to go forward. But the biggest thing, Mike, is we had all these hearings.
We did.
What the hell did they accomplish, if anything?
No, nothing. But we've talked about that on the show before with Ivan, if you remember.
Yeah, but our audience doesn't. Those people who aren't.
And they do nothing.
Yeah, we've had some issues with YouTube, losing some of our interesting podcasts lately.
Yeah, we have. But the point is that we know Congress can get actual information and not pursue it.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating for the American public.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things. Sorry, the audience was saying they couldn't hear the mic, but I think everyone else is hearing us. So I think it's just one person needs to actually turn the volume up. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see potentially where all of this goes. We want it to move forward. We want something to happen. But unless we can actually bring people together and do something and actually take that information and move it forward, what's the point?
That is, I believe, one of the points that Representative Tim Burchett was talking about on the recent Weaponized podcast when Corbell and Knapp were interviewing him. He said, it really doesn't matter if we have another hearing at this point, because unless they have witnesses that have direct evidence, the public isn't really going to want to hear it. He's right. He's not wrong. It makes valid points. So I think that's where we happen to be at for disclosure at the beginning of 2026.
Yeah, just so the audience knows, I do have a mixer here. And I do watch the audio going on. If there is a little hiccup and different things, that's my audio. Mike, say something for the audience.
Yes. Happy New Year again to everybody.
There we go. A little bit louder now. There we go. That should level things off a little bit better as more friends are coming in the back. Great show today. Can't wait to see where it's going to go. If we could, Sharky Marky, your hand is up next, my friend.
Oh, Andy joined us.
Be here, guys. Thank you for having the show tonight. I appreciate it. I just wanted to say a couple things. One thing I wanted to say was I feel like where this is going, hopefully into 2026, is that some event, huge event that everyone sees or can't unsee, and it screams disclosure because it's almost like a mistake. It wasn't meant to happen, right? Or something like an Area 52 where you see these people are coming out with all types of, cancers and, long-term diseases, things of that nature, where they're really sick and looking for government help, but the government's turned their back and they've signed a non-disclosure, but they're going to come out and come out and tell the truth or tell their story. I mean, yeah,
that happened this year, Sharky.
People have direct evidence or something,
Right. Sharky, we did have that this year. There was some people who were working at Area 51 who were exposed to the material, the nuclear material that's in the air. It's in the, fine dust that's in the area, and they're dying of cancer. So we have had some people that have, come out and been, straight up honest about it, and they have been initially denied medical benefits. Now, one thing that we are, and if you look back to Dr. Gary Nolan, he's actually gone and investigated in-depth MRIs of individuals who were exposed to a non-human intelligence craft and found what equated to irreversible brain damage. Now, we have had them come out, but everyone who's had that so far has either died or they're remaining, anonymous.
Exactly. That's what I'm referencing. Yeah, it's well said. It's well said.
Yeah. Now, if you also look at one thing, people are complaining about Lou Elizondo not going ahead and bringing the information out. If we're going to get whistleblowers, we want whistleblowers who are going to tell us everything. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Well, Sharky, if you knew information, you would go ahead and tell it. That you could wind up executed for treason against the government?
There's so much incentive for some of these people to really come out. Maybe they have direct evidence. Maybe they have these stories that are way better than what we're hearing at this time. Maybe it could, rejolt things in 2026. I'm really hoping so. But I really hope that there's an event that someone can't unsee, or a lot of people can't unsee. And it's like a surprise. It's something
we need a worldwide
event,
that just doesn't happen in one country. That happens worldwide, in its irrefutable evidence of what's going on in our skies and around us on a regular basis. It would be equivalent to basically the aliens showing themselves. Because even though, I've been listening in Spaces with Mike, even last night, there are, far left Dems, liberal people who are into disclosure, but even if Trump were to bring forward truth coming out of it, they're not willing to accept what he's saying, and they're going to call it a lie because they don't like the president for who he is.
Sure, and I think that, when it comes down to it, if they do that and behave that way, as it's already happened in the past, it's just going to totally expose them for who they are and what they're thinking with no evidence, with hardly any evidence. Because people saw it with their own eyes and can't unsee it. And these are the things that, they can't be questioned as much because that's the direct evidence we're looking for, maybe. I don't know, something along those lines. But I think those are the two ways that hopefully, maybe surprisingly, things could really be shaken up.
If we're not going to get it from the federal government of the United States, maybe China will do something to take the crown and bring out the truth first. Nothing's stopping them from going ahead and doing that. And on the other fronts, what you're talking about, I think what a lot of people got this year was trust me, bro, fatigue. We have a lot of people coming out saying a lot of things about stuff, but there's no facts. There's nothing there to actually substantiate what are effectively stories. I know sometimes that's the only way you can get stuff, but the reality is, if you want to take this and move it forward, you need to get beyond trust me, bro.
Exactly. 100%. I totally agree with you. You're totally right.
Yeah. Gene, what are your thoughts? We know it's hard to bring out the truth. You've been in the IC before. You've had major roles in corporations, in what do you call it, global corporations. Do you think we'll be able to get past this trust me bro issue? I mean, you brought out some phenomenal, if you want to call it, documentation from your father-in-law that you turned into a book this year, Infinity Disclosed.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, absolutely. I was a little disappointed to hear Burlison sort of sound so defeatist today. Like, well, if we don't have, new whistleblowers, there's no reason for hearings. And I just have such a different view on it. I think, there's actually a lot of opportunities for more hearings, for more of an all of government approach to this. On that show you heard, I asked about DOE and the rest of it. And he said, oh yeah, that needs to be looked into. So, there's plenty that can be done. It just, again, does not, and he alluded to that too, it does not seem like there is just the political appetite for any of it, because it's a relatively small constituency comparative to the greater issues that they're all dealing with, and there's no pressure, so there's no influence, there's no pressure, there's no unity of message, there's no demands that we as a community are putting forward to have some sort of accountability. So in that sense I don't blame them, but I just otherwise find it disappointing, because I think there's a lot that can be done. But as you experience, we just get all this infighting and pettiness about camps and whatnot, and it's just self-destructive.
It's beyond self-destructive. It's disgusting to see where some of this stuff is go. It's like, doesn't matter if you're on one side or the other, Gene. The goal of this is to keep the momentum going, not try and continually rip other people down on the other side.
Yeah, and
Gene, can I be like a little contrary to what you're saying, if I may?
Sure.
It's just like let's look at real life. You know what I mean? Real life is like, you can only hold so many people accountable. They don't listen. They don't care. You try to hold people accountable in real life. You try, you lead people to water that you can't make them drink it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like I'm not trying, I agree with you, hold people accountable. You should hold them to an accountability and a standard. Sure. But how realistic is that, living in the current world that we live in after COVID, especially, with people and how they are and how they operate, generally the general public, you can only do so much with them. You can lead them to water. You can't make them drink it. That's the bottom line. I think that's what I've realized. Even after COVID, it's just crazy how people operate.
You wouldn't go to bed?
But that's just how life is. That's how people are. That's how American people are, especially.
So lay down with mommy.
Yeah, and when I'm talking about the who to hold accountable, I'm talking about holding the politicians accountable. And my point in that is that, unlike other issues, which there are unified advocacy groups, right? People who act like activists to get their message and promote their agenda before the body politica. We don't have that. And what we do have, in terms of what, Soul Foundation, and they're having their boondaggles in Italy, right? They're not producing anything, they will write some papers and send it around. There's no concerted effort, and there's no unified messaging when it comes to our politicians.
Yeah, that
again forces them into making this to adding this to the agenda, right. I should say.
But
unless something really interesting pops up that makes for a good hearing and checks the block, so they've done something on their committee, it's sort of a side note to them.
Yeah. Now, one additional thing, Gene, that we hit this year, it's become evident from what's been happening, is we have this second level of non-disclosure going. We have these tech bros that are going out there and spending millions of dollars bringing stuff. And we've got Peter Thiel, we've got the guy who's behind the SALT conference, we've got them tied in with Gary Nolan from Seoul and others. Nothing against them, but it's almost like they're taking that additional. There's an additional layer now between us and the government to where good stuff that could come out isn't going to come out. Look what happened with Skywatcher. They got so far. The one guy who had they called it the dog whistle, the UFO whistle, was his technology to pull stuff in. As soon as he left, went to some other private fund or wherever he went, the whole organization was like shut down, and they had promised that they were going to have disclosure with evidence out by, basically mid-January of this year. And we're less than 2 weeks away from that, when it doesn't look good.
No, exactly. I mean, it's the same individuals rotating amongst the same sort of organizations. And none of them are able to get any traction or build anything organically. You've got, you've got these disclosure themed or UAP themed disclosure content creators who are just looking to, recycle stories, and for whom an actual disclosure effort, is counterproductive to their bottom line. And that's why I say it's time to start behaving like activists and having an agenda and knowing what it is and following it. And if you take in information that's made available and you hold on to the things that are good, and you put the things that aren't necessarily relevant at the moment to the side, and you put the things that are debunked or worth little effort in another corner, and you continue to move forward. But this is literally just cycles and cycles of regurgitating old information and then adding layers of new information on it without adding any context to it, without putting it in the grand scope of things and building something so that should, when the outsiders, the public at large, when you grab their attention and they come in and they say, okay, what is going on and what is this all about? And what do we know and what do we not know? I mean, they run the gauntlet from, science to, I had an alien baby in the, conference room inside the moon. And it's just too much to expect people to buy into everything all at once.
Yeah.
And so we've got to decide what are the small immediate wins that move the needle and get those to happen before we worry about contacting aliens with our minds and bringing them down and photographing different dimensions and shit like that. Let's get the basics covered. Let's get that out there. Let's get people's minds around that, and then build, and not just, have a dump truck full of extraterrestrial NHI interdimensional shit for somebody to have to digest all in one sitting.
Well, along the lines of Stephen Greer with his CE5, we also have Chris Bledsoe, who has made a lot of different things. He was one who convinced Eric Burlison to go and step outside of the halls of Congress for 3 hours to watch the skies and to see nothing happen at that particular time. And I think he has a prophecy. Is it 2026 or 2027 Easter that he was talking about that Regulus is going to rise and then there's going to be this big awakening? Latest, if I've seen it, latest predictions of star charts at that time puts Regulus below the horizon before that's going to actually happen. So that alignment that they've been talking about isn't actually even necessarily going to happen. But a lot of people are buying it just as much. There were thousands of people who heard on TikTok that there's going to be a great, there's going to be a huge fireworks display on the Manhattan Bridge, of which there was none, but still people hear about it and they believe, and they all come in numbers.
Yeah, and I heard about that. That's the first I heard of that, the Easter prediction today, and was it the White Lady and all that? You know, again, let's just have something that's digestible in the moment. And I'm not, opposed to all that. And I don't know enough about this particular prediction to that I can say I'm informed about it. And again, my father-in-law's work, he talked about 2024. That, is what pushed me to publish then. And so I get that there might be something to all of that. And I believe there is something to it, but is it a lady of white dropping out of the sky when things align? Those are things. Just keep your mouth shut until they happen. Because was it Ghana? The guy just predicted
Noah, the new
flood.
Noah, who took he told all these people, sell all your belongings, give it to me. I'm building all these boats. We're going to get out there. And he declared on Christmas 2020, on December 25th, 2025, the giant floods were going to come and all these people were going to be saved. What happened is all these individuals or people in Ghana all gave away their money to this guy. They all went to the boats. There weren't enough boats. They were actually standing in trenches where the water could potentially go. But the sad part of it is right after that happened, he went and bought himself a Mercedes costing $98,000 American, which is like a high-end AMG, mid-range AMG for that matter, but still.
Yeah. And he got up at stage at some rap concert and said, "Oh, I prayed, and so God said it never." That's what stopped it. So,
well, there's a lot of charlatans out there, I think, and I think that's also what really doesn't help disclosure. I also think the old system is still there's still remnants of the old system where if you do speak up, that they could kill you, they will take retribution on you. Especially if you're someone that was in power and has knowledge about disclosure or whatever.
It's not just a system. You're talking about federal laws that are in place, Sharky, that if you go ahead and release information that's Q clearance, a matter of national security, you will be tried as a spy and can be executed by firing squad.
Don't you think the old system has to die of some sort or laws need to change? Obviously, I think a system shift has to happen in so many ways. I mean, I think Gene has some really good points, and he's absolutely on the ball with everything. But the point is that how can we make any real progress unless the system changes in some ways? In a lot of ways, in really concrete ways.
Yeah.
And I think the comment that Lou's most criticized for, where he says, you've got to burn, he wants to burn down ufology. I think people misinterpret that because if you think about it, right, if you're going to grow a new forest, what do you have to do? Burn down the old one.
Right. And he talks about really wanting to go ahead and be more of a scientific, actual approach to this versus a lot of speculative statements that are made by people who are clearly out there to monetize it.
Yeah. And, and that's exactly what, I've been trying to push to say, not just me, but there's other scientific evidence now, Beatrice Villarreal, there is things we have access to and know now that correlate to many whistleblower statements, that correlate to, many ideas that have circulated in the community. And so, let's begin taking these things and building upon them and exploring them and running them down from a scientific aspect. Because just asking the general, show me your UFO papers, isn't going to work and isn't going to do anything. And more videos and more photos are not going to do anything and are not going to move the needle, particularly considering now the use of AI and everything else.
Oh yeah.
And the scrutiny that comes with that. It's got to be more science driven. And even with that, it's got to be by, more independent scientists who aren't dependent upon the, university that they work for shutting them down or changing their research or saying, soften this and that and all the rest of it. And you guys know, you and Mike, right? The people you work with are out there behind the scenes trying to get those results. And that's why you don't hear from them, because they're busy working.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are the other ones who are working. Mike, you with us, my friend?
Yeah, Gene's right.
Yeah.
There are people doing real work privately for disclosure in this scientific community that are dealing with potential breakthroughs that will get the public's attention. That's where I think the disclosure is going to come. And like we've talked about before on the show, we're going to get catastrophic disclosure. It isn't going to be controlled from the government. It's the only way that people are going to take notice.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be coming from these guys, Mike. You've got a wanted poster out there for them, dead or alive. Tupacabra, Red Panaquala, and J. Piss Drinker Unity. My God. Send any and all information to Sheriff Mike Disclosure. I think this came out of something today when you said there's a new sheriff in town.
I did, because, as you are well aware of, that troll group has been targeting Lou and us for years now. And it's been going unchecked. And it goes to the degree where it isn't just us. We have people in the community that are genuinely interested in disclosure, want to have a voice, want to be a part of the conversation. But immediately, when they go on social media like X, Twitter, they get attacked by these trolls. They have thrown racial slurs. They're doxxed. These people can't have a normal conversation and ask questions because they're targeted.
Yeah.
So I felt that at this point, since you and I have been pushing back against them the entire time, that we need to let the public know that we're at the beginning of 2026. And it doesn't have to be more of the same thing that it's been for all the years past. We can have safe spaces on X. We can have troll-free zones where people can come, like when they come here on the show, and not get attacked.
Right.
For asking questions and knowing, what they want to know about what's going on with disclosure. So I put my foot down and let everybody on X know that there's a new sheriff in town.
Mike, Mike, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a lot of respect for what you guys have detailed on what you guys must endure. No one deserves to be treated that way, from
it isn't just us. It's not just us. It's people who are new to the community that come on, let's say, X, social media. They want to be a part of the conversation. And then for one reason or another, if they don't agree with the trolls' anti-Lou rhetoric, then they're attacked. And that's got to stop. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to us. And
sure, but
Thomas and I are taking a stand to stop
and I'm just trying to be a contrary opinion. I know it's really hard, but to revel in this people, they don't have anything else. They expose themselves. Let them. I know it's really hard, and no one deserves the shit that they put you through and the shit they say. You know what I mean? I agree with you. That's unacceptable.
Right.
It's not right, especially
if I
when
could just
it comes
jump
from
in here
a place
really quick, Sharky.
where it's not documented.
Sharky, the main issue is if you let that dialogue go on unchallenged, you don't say anything about it, you don't push back on it. It gets accepted. It gets accepted.
I totally agree with you.
Let me finish.
But aren't you kind of
Let me finish, Sharky, please. It gets
natural selection.
Okay. It comes down to it that you get to this point where if you don't challenge this stuff, you don't come out against it, it becomes the dialogue that's accepted by everybody. And that's part of the problem is you get them saying this stuff time and time and time again, parroting it. What do you think Panda has over 2 million impressions? Because anything that you get out there, he'll paste one of his posts. He'll put a reply of another one of his posts. He'll put in a reply of any one of his posts. And anytime someone goes and looks at that thread and they see all of his own posts, that's taking his ticker and his counter and increasing it. Now, that's some of the stuff that he was taught by one of the kings out there on YouTube. You know what I mean, Mike?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's called engagement farming.
Yep.
And Sharky, the answer is this has been going on with them for 4 years, man. And in the beginning, no one bothered them, and it didn't go away. And it's still ongoing. And now we're in 2026. So not doing anything is not really an option anymore at this point.
You know, what were we hearing on some of the people almost saying that they needed to drop to their knees and swallow their pride in front of the trolls to basically bring things back together? It was just nuts how they were talking about that today, Mike. It's just like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about the truth. And, you know, if they want to have the attacks, or if they want to have the reprisals stopped, they need to stop the attacks. Now, they can say it's free speech and they can go whatever they want, but that's them taking and ramping it up. And if they're going to ramp it up, you know, we're not going to turn the cheek. We're going to swing with the sword. Try slapping me again. You'll see what happens.
Right. So we're making a stand on social media to provide safe spaces for people who want to just be a part of the conversation. And we're not going to let them continue to get away with what they've been doing. 2026 is going to be a different year because there's going to be a huge amount of pushback, and we're going to shut them down and run interference. We're not going to allow this to continue going on the way that it has.
And last night's space that you were in, Mike, as a co-host on, was the start of that, where the trolls are going to come in, they're going to try and talk, and they're not going to get their voices brought up.
Right, because what they like to do is they like to talk over everybody, hurl racial slurs at the people in the space.
Well, it's beyond racial. It's homophobic slurs and other stuff. It's disgusting behavior.
It is. And they take all the air out of the room, and they take over and destroy the space that is there to have a normal conversation. So the new policy that I've been working with people on X to implement for 2026 is if you have a space, it's going to have to be troll free. None of them will be allowed to speak or attack people and just run rampant. We're going to be locking it down.
What about the free market here? You know what I mean? The free market from the standpoint that I'm throwing in a contrary opinion. I stand with you guys. I 100,000% respect where you're coming from. I've always felt this way.
They want to have a contrary opinion. They can have their own space and talk through it. They do all the time.
Right, but I'm saying, like, in the free market, let that filter out with the evidence that they have, and
they have no evidence except the posts they keep on putting out there.
Stupid people are gonna naturally select themselves because they're gonna play the semantical games, like throwing like words at people, insults, things. They don't have anything. Let them expose them for who they are. You know what I mean? If you don't do that, then I don't know. I'm just thinking about it differently.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to say enough is enough.
Respect you guys.
Sometimes you have to say enough is enough, and kind of, you know. Ooh, sorry if I'm trying to get in there on you, Sharky, but yeah, we are letting him talk. Yeah, let's get to it. Now, if we could, Mike, I've got a clip here that was not put out on X yet, coming from Tyler in the Total Disclosure podcast. If you haven't seen it yet, he had a 2-hour interview today with Representative Eric Burlison. Very interesting. Let's go ahead and get to this first one. I think I'm at 13 minutes and 32 seconds in. How far do I need to be to go ahead and show this? Where in the hell are my notes? And I need 12 minutes and 59 seconds. Let me go a little bit further back. Okay, here we go. Let's play this clip here. And this is going to be talking about, Tyler is asking Representative Burlison about the community infighting that's going on. Let's see where Representative Burlison is going to take this. Let's jump to this. 1 second. All right, here we go.
It's just, it's pitting us against each other.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And unfortunately, social media really exacerbates this because there's a lot of people that feel that they have this drive to get clicks and to get more people to follow them. And so they're willing to say outlandish things and be rude and sometimes vulgar or crude on social media. And
clicks and views, and they're being rude. Who does it sound like they're talking about, Mike?
Chupacabra and Red Panda Koala, the trolls.
Yeah.
Who else?
Exactly.
It's just part of the game. I deal with it I've been dealing with it ever since I got involved in politics. Unfortunately, it's just the way that human nature is.
Yeah, I guess
So there you go, Mike. He's blaming it down to human nature, but it kind of shows where this is all going from.
No, this isn't human nature.
Yeah.
These are people that are disgusting, that like to attack other people and like to call them names, and they want to be the center of attention. So that is a destructive behavior with people who have obviously psychological issues.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So normal people that have normal lives are not on a keyboard 24/7, busy attacking everybody that moves and comes on because they want to make a name for themselves. But these people do. So that's not human nature. That's abnormal behavior, in my opinion. What do you think, Thomas?
I would have to agree with you. It's a sad situation where it goes, but it just shows you when people get out there, they grandstand, they have a lot of followers, they have a lot of people who they put stuff out to. You know, it's kind of like the mainstream news. You listen to it enough, you start believing all the shit they put out there is true.
Well, that part of it is human nature. When people hear the same thing repeated over and over again, which is part of brainwashing, they start to believe it, even if they don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that they use those tactics of saying the same thing a million times, and they say that that's their proof, but they don't have any actual proof. They just keep repeating themselves, and people finally give up because they don't want to fight back. And that's how they've been getting away with this.
Like
But
that
we're not going to allow it.
Like that schmuck today, John Fredericks, who keeps on coming out and saying, oh, yeah, Mike is a fake. He wasn't NYPD. You know, if he says this, whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead and turn him into the NYPD because it's a felony for going ahead and saying you were part of NYPD when you weren't. And he wouldn't stop, would he?
No, he wouldn't. But you have a 79-year-old man who's retired, who's obviously has no life because he's interacting with 31-year-old trolls 3,000 miles away from where he is. And he's also on the internet because he probably doesn't have an actual life. So people like that, we usually block and ignore because they're just a waste of time. Nothing is going to be accomplished in going back and forth with people like that.
Exactly. Brian, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, to go to Sharky's point earlier, we have dealt with these people. We've invited them into spaces. They've had open conversations, and what do? They end up calling anybody a Nazi or anything else. That's all they revert to. It's a planned playbook that we see from time and time again on these spaces from these people. Whether they're paid or not, I don't know, and I really don't care. But Mike's right, and Thomas is right. You know, if you're going to hold your own spaces, you can invite your own people to them. And I think that's part of what Elon Musk has done very well to allow this. So now we know who they are. They've come out. We know who they are now. And they've even crept into the show, Thomas. You can vouch for that.
So
This is just one thing that, yes, they can have their free speech. They can have their own spaces, just like we can have our own spaces.
Yeah, the point is that you give
fair.
them energy and attention, you're almost willing them to continue their behavior. Maybe ignore them. I'm not saying you don't. And I know what they do is really evil. It's evil, you know.
Which we've cut them out, and
I agree. I understand, but you're never going to fully get rid of them. That's the only point I'm making. I'm not standing behind. I'm standing behind you guys, and I agree with you.
I'm just saying, you get slapped in the face enough, you get tired of it. Sometimes you have to swing. If they go to slap you again, strike you again, you cut off their hand so they can't do it again. In a metaphorically speaking sense.
And that's what we're doing now. We're making sure that at the very least, people are going to have a safe space to go to and not be attacked by these people without anyone standing up to them. We're standing up to them. We have been. We will continue to, and we will shut them down eventually. It's going to stop. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're doing, to answer your question, Sharky.
And people were talking about after the New Year's, Mike, that, this is the year we all need to come together. We all need to go ahead and stop attacking each other. And they had their spaces immediately coming out saying, no way, we're going to crank it up.
Oh, no, they were having a real interesting conversation with each other about that. They didn't like that some of the audience was telling them that enough is enough. They said that they don't care about disclosure. They're only interested in taking Lou Elizondo, you, me, and the show down. That's their goal, and that's what they focus on.
Yeah.
So because of sentiments like that and actions that they've been doing the entire time, we're not going to take it. And we're going to go out of our way to make sure that they're not going to be able to continue to do this to everybody anymore. It's going to come to an end, whatever it takes. Yeah. So now this is what's going on. And we are letting everybody know that there is going to be safe spaces. There's going to be places people can go and not worry about getting attacked. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that that happens. So that's what this is all about. That's what's been going on. And that's why now at the beginning of 2026, we're pushing forward with this, Sharky. That's what it's about. So are we happy that we have to engage in these troll wars on Twitter? No, we have better things to do. But at the same time, we're not going to lay down and take it anymore. That doesn't fix or solve anything. So this is where we're at. And hopefully this will be a better year after all is said and done.
Nothing like some chigger bites to get under the skin and cause irritation.
Yep. Oh, yeah. At the very least, Thomas.
Exactly. Now, in this next clip I've got coming up, we've got this. I've actually got a clip of Brian I'll bring up in a little bit. Actually, John Stewart talking about Brian shortly. We'll get to there. I want to keep on covering this Total Disclosure podcast next. Next piece we got coming up. This is something we've talked about many times. Tyler is asking, will aliens save us from conflicts like war and other stuff? It's a prophecy. It's out there for some people to go ahead and go towards. I guess this is another thing coming from Chris Bledsoe, that there's going to be another conflict yet again in the Middle East, that the aliens are going to come in and step forward and stop it from happening. But I got to ask you the question, Mike. We've had world wars, multiple of them. We've had mass genocides. In Bosnia, we've had it in Poland during World War II. We've had it all these different places around the world. We've had mass starvations everywhere going on. We've had natural disasters where thousands of people, tens of thousands of people are wiped out. We've dropped, the United States, not that I'm proud of it, not even close, but dropped 2 nuclear bombs, not one. First Hiroshima, the second one is Nagasaki. And you know what the aliens have done to stop any of that stuff?
Not a fucking thing.
Not a fucking thing, exactly. So along those lines, along that intro, let's go ahead and play this next clip here of Representative Burlison with Tyler. Let's see what, over Total Disclosure Podcast, let's see what he has to say.
That this non-human intelligence, angelic, alien, whatever you want to call it, was going to intervene and then make themselves known. And that's going to happen, I think he said in the next year or two as well. And that it's heating up right now. Although that's like that. I don't know. What do you think of these things?
I don't really pay much attention to prophecy. I mean, if it comes true, that's really fascinating, but I don't really, and maybe this just comes from being a Christian and having so many people get it wrong about, the date and the time that when Christ is going to return. Usually that date comes and goes and nothing happens. So I just don't really give a lot of credence to it. But
fair enough.
But if he hits the nail on the head and gets it, right, then good for him.
Yeah, I guess.
So there we go, Mike. Prophecy or not, it's something that it sounds like the UAP caucus and the task force for the disclosure of national secrets isn't jumping down that bandwagon.
No. I don't believe they're going to be engaged in theological discussions. That's not what the focus is going to be. The problem with Congress, which is a dumpster fire for a while now.
Oh, yeah.
they have not really been focusing on this subject, because you have to understand there are real world issues that they are dealing with. We recently bombed Venezuela. There are issues going on all around the world in the Ukraine, in the Gaza Strip. We have real world issues geopolitically that Congress is going to be focusing on, and this is not going to be a priority for them. Plus, you have to understand, this is no longer a bipartisan effort in Congress. When David Grush testified over 2 years ago, there was a very strong bipartisan effort. But with the current administration being in place and how politically divided this country has become, the Congress is equally divided. Therefore, they are not working together as they once did. And this subject isn't going to be moving forward the way that it had in the past. And that's the reality of it.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. It's slowing down. It's decelerating. The DOD has put the genie back in the bottle. Got to thank Susan Goff for appearing on our show so many times as she has, to go ahead and just say, nope, not going to happen on my watch. So, talking more about Grush, since you brought it up, Mike, we've got interesting conversation about how Grush was threatened on his way to the skiff. I don't think we've heard this one before.
Yeah, we've heard this one before. But go ahead, play it.
No, not the details I've heard. Maybe you did, and maybe I've missed it. But let's get to it. Here we go. Let's get to here. Let's go back to here. All right, here we go.
Spoke about a couple of, not even maybe 2 days ago, Rep Luna spoke about some sort of threat or event that took place before a skiff meeting.
That was actually not 2 days ago. There was a post 2 days ago on Twitter about that, but that happened in September of last year. Let's continue.
If you don't mind, could you follow up on that? I'm very interested, obviously.
Right. So you never know what was going on, but we had a remote briefing where Grush was at a different location, but in a skiff, and there's a technology that allows us to do basically what we're doing right now, like a type of Zoom type
skiff to skiff communication.
That's right. Yeah, and it's very, I don't know, but it's highly encrypted, highly secure. And I'm sure that the federal government has enough confidence that it is secure. So, and you have to use very particular devices. You got to be in a location that is really secure as well. And so because for convenience, Grush went to this one location, and on his way there, he had I think it was a road rage incident, but someone basically flashed a gun at him when driving on his way to the skiff. But it could be anything. I once had, but a lot of times you kind of see things. You see shadows where they aren't really shadows. So it could have been. I kind of chalk it up to that it was just a road rage incident because, yeah.
What you're saying is it could be. It had nothing to do with Grush himself, like being a UFO whistleblower, but it was more like road rage, regular road rage, and someone was just because I've had that. I haven't had a gun pulled on me like that or flashed to me like that, but I've had people follow me, and I don't go on the air and and I'm like, oh yeah, I got followed by no, I accidentally cut him or what he thought cut off. So you're saying there's no definitive evidence to suggest that was related, but that could also be exactly what they want.
Right. Yeah.
There you go, Mike. Have you heard this one, Mike? I didn't hear this part.
We covered this on the show.
We covered it, but we didn't hear that he was driving to a remote skiff. We heard that he was threatened on his way to the skiff. We didn't know it was remote. But it was a remote location, and someone flashed a gun as he was driving on his way there.
Yeah, we covered this, Thomas. At the time, we knew that the incident that was blown way out of proportion initially, that it was actually a road rage incident where somebody was driving and flashed a gun real quick and moved on. and he was not in any real danger.
I
But
don't
now, I
remember
don't know
that
why
part.
this is
Apparently,
coming
my
back up
memory must be
again.
fried.
It's not a new story.
My memory must be fried, Mike. It's something that I don't remember, but so it's actually new to me on this one. But not sure about the audience out there. But that's the first time I heard that to understand what was really, really going on.
Yeah, that's what was going on. It was much bigger coverage when people were talking about that someone pulled a gun directly on Grush. That never actually happened. Somebody flashed a gun while he was driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, while he was driving to the skiff, but he wasn't actually had the gun pointed at him. Or he wasn't threatened. It wasn't anything, and we covered and cleared this up at the time that this occurred. But it's an old story. It's nothing new, and it's definitely not relevant. And what Burlison is confirming is what we reported on, is that it was a road rage incident, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
There's a police report that's on file for that.
Yeah.
So that's how we know what was going on.
Apparently, I must be getting older. My memory is not as good as it was, but either way, I thought it was interesting to say the least. Our next piece is coming in, getting direct questions about Trump and disclosure, Mike, but it sounds like an echo of what we've said in the past, coming from Burlison. Let's get to that right now. Here we go.
Let's hear it.
Here we go. We've got our fingers on the pulse of disclosure. Here we go.
Term, for such things to be possible, but could you see a situation where Trump actually does, like, if he wants to leave a legacy, it seems kind of a no-brainer that this is the topic to do it with.
I mean, it's, to you, it is. I don't know that to Trump, this is a topic that is top of mind for him. I think it has to become top of mind before he takes action. And I think that I don't speak for the president. I'm just kind of relaying what I'm getting a sense of from people that are immediately around him. That it's not exactly a top priority. And there's a sense that this may distract from other objectives that he has, whether it's domestic policy or foreign policy. And so I think that if given the opportunity, and if he knew that that the public was extremely interested in it, I think that Trump has no problem with disclosing, or what I've requested specifically is that he do an executive order that's similar to the one that he did with the JFK files, because we've actually gotten some pretty good new information on that topic because Trump did an executive order demanding those files be released. So I would like I've requested that from the White House staff, but we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, Mike. Gene, your thoughts on this one? It definitely sounds like it's a matter of national security to bring it out, but there are a lot of things going on in the federal government these days. How do you see this?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's our great desire to see this happen, but for the average American, again, not a daily issue. And, those are the things that he has to focus on. And as I've said, a number of times, and there was a piece, what's her name? Christina Gomez came out, quoted me today, where I talked about, until there is a politically advantageous series of events for that to happen, that is what is going to drive it more than anything. So it is either the imminent catastrophic disclosure is identified and they want to get in front of it, or it is just purely politically advantageous to do it. And that's the only condition that's going to happen voluntarily.
Yeah, that makes sense. It definitely has to be a playbook of something's going on. People could say, "Oh my God, he's going to try and bring it out to go ahead and distract people from one thing into another," which could be a good reason. Bring out the alien card, screw with everyone's mind, not just the United States, around the world. But I think even the problems I brought up earlier, there are people who are diehard disclosurists and they want to bring out the truth. But the problem is, if it comes from Trump or from a political party they don't align to, they've been so poisoned by the mass media to hate people. You never want to hate people. You cannot like what they want, but hate is not a word that any of us should potentially use, period. But they use it on a regular basis, and because they've been essentially brainwashed in this front, even if we do get something credible, something's going to come out, there's a bunch of people who aren't going to believe on the opposite side of the fence. Plus, you have the people on his side of the fence that aren't going to believe, which is going to be a lot less than half.
Exactly, and that's why I say it's a chasm to cross. To think that he's just going to choose a random Wednesday morning because it's slow and do disclosure. There has to be a political win in it. It's got to be part of a larger strategy. It's got to be, something not just for his legacy, but for the party as well. And whatever comes with that has to be irrefutable. Has to be ironclad. To avoid those skeptics, and it has to be done in a way that doesn't look like it's a distraction from something else.
In other words, what you're kind of playing up is maybe we do need to get this announcement coming from a foreign power, not part of the United States, to bring out the truth, because there is so much infighting and turmoil going on within our country where it may not be believed, and it may take an external entity from Earth to get us there.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was here somewhere else, this discussion came out about coming from another country and what would that look like, and who might we see if it weren't the president getting up there, and I said, well, if it looked like something was going to land in the Sahara Desert, we might not see Trump up at the podium, but we might see the vice president, NASA administrator, Homeland Security, FEMA, people that are building confidence around the United States' ability to address whatever the thing might be. So, there's, several shapes and forms it may come. But I think the, full open door, and they're going to, roll a semi with a UFO and dead alien bodies down Constitution Ave is the least likely of scenarios that's going to happen.
No, put it here. No, it won't. Just sit here. Give it to me. I'll take it. I got it right here. Yeah, little dog doesn't want to eat today. But yeah, I'm smiling. There you go. Sorry, I didn't see how great points, Gene. It's something we all want to get to the truth of, and hopefully one way or the other, our government or some other government will go ahead and bring us the truth. What do you think, Mike?
Well, time will tell. I guess we'll see. But again, there seems to be so much geopolitical turmoil. China has been doing military drills around the island of Taiwan, kind of like Russia did back before the Ukraine war.
Son of a bitch. You're right on that one, Mike.
Yeah. So I don't think disclosure, unless something catastrophic happens, is going to be something that our government is going to be focusing on anytime soon.
No, unfortunately. Now, talking about federal government and different parts of it, in this little next clip here coming from the interview, Ty asks Eric about the FBI, and it's interesting. Eric's got a tight lip on this one. Let's go ahead and see where it's going to go. Here we go.
I'm not sure if they're looking to put together something else. I know that there is investigations that are occurring within the federal government.
Well, the FBI has a UAP thing now too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I can't really speak to that. And I couldn't really say that it's a UAP group. I think we would all be ignorant to believe that they're not called in to investigate sightings, and some of which might end up becoming or referred to as a UAP. But the FBI their interest is making sure that the airspace in the United States is secure, and whether that's drone incursion or other, that it's something that they're tasked to investigate.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
So there you go, Mike. FBI, not a lot of word on it, except they're trying to keep our airways safe. But, oh God, we got to be honest about this. We've never had domain over our skies, going back to the initial forming of the United States of America. No one in the world has. So to go ahead and make sure that our skies are safe, isn't it more on the safety protocols of what our pilots and different people in the sky are doing more than what the non-human intelligence has up their sleeves? Because they've had the same playbook going back for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah, you're correct. But Eric Burlison isn't really able to speak about it, like he said. But we covered this on the show, again, in detail. And the FBI does, in fact, have an X-Files unit for UEP that they specifically investigate. As a matter of fact, they even held a skiff meeting with Representative Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, and Eric Burlison. And after they were in that FBI skiff meeting, and then they had an Arrow meeting the same day in a skiff, what they said in the press conference was how the FBI was better equipped and provided information that Arrow never provided to Congress before, if you remember that story.
No, I remember it completely. Yeah, they were basically saying FBI was more open with information and gave us stuff that clearly Arrow was aware of, but they've never provided to Congress to date. Basically proving more and more that, there's a cover-up, Mike. Right. Intentionally.
But this FBI unit is a handful of agents, little more than a handful of agents, from all 50 states. So that means you have 15, 16 assorted agents that are out of different field offices across all 50 states. You have one general manager of this unit that's in Washington, D.C. And we also know, because we covered this story as well, that they are actively investigating and talking to people who have already testified before Arrow. They are doing background information because a lot of these people, like Bob Jacobs and Bob Salas, are getting up there in age and had valuable information and have all assorted health issues as well. So as time moves forward, the FBI is focusing on putting together a timeline and archiving all of their actual information and putting it together for the investigation that they had been doing on this subject. As a matter of fact, when they had that skiff meeting with those members of Congress in the UEP caucus, the FBI brought up that if funding were to be redirected from Arrow to the FBI for this, they would be more than willing to do that. And we covered and spoke about that as well, if you remember.
Yeah. Oh, we have.
So when Burlison told Tyler, I don't really know much about it, I can't speak about it. Oh, yes, he could. But I guess his memory is not what it used to be. But I remember, and we can speak, man.
Oh, gosh,
because we know exactly what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And in this next clip, getting to it, we've got a clip where Burlison talks about people can make mistakes, like Lou. No, I was talking about like when Lou brought out the images, it was a irrigation circle. He said, I didn't get a chance to figure it out. Everyone's still trying to crucify the guy and the stuff. But you know what? Everyone does mistakes. And I didn't say this last night because I wasn't in the space last night. And everyone was criticizing Lou for this, or a couple people were. What they forget, Mike, is doctors don't perfect medicine. They practice medicine because doctors, like everybody else in the world who's human, makes mistakes. So to expect Lou to be perfect in every single possible thing that he says is a bunch of freaking, okay, guys, sit and spin on this one, honestly.
Yeah, but I also talked in that space, and I also let everybody know that Lou did caveat before he showed the photos.
But they all forget it.
I didn't verify this. I just had it handed to me. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to show it to you now. Judge for yourself. He put that out there. He didn't lie about it or hide it and tell everybody, oh, no, this is the real deal. I'm letting you know this is official. No, he never said that. No. So they want to hang him out to dry? Well, they're dead fucking wrong for doing
Mike,
because that's not what he did.
They're going ahead and trying to go ahead and get rid of Lou while they're enjoying something like a popsicle stick from Stephen Greer. Let's be honest.
Right. But now the point is that I thought when Burlison was talking about people make mistakes, I thought he was referencing the mistake he made with the Joe Rogan podcast interview.
Well,
but I could be wrong.
Let's go ahead and play it. Here we go. Not that. No, I don't think so. Let's see. No, this is about Jay. This is about mistakes. Let's get to this. I could be wrong, but that's what my notes say.
Of the agricultural rings or circles, right? I think Lou did that in an attitude of trying to be transparent. But when you do that, you're taking a risk. The alternative is to sit on it and fully vet it and then be confident about what you're getting ready to release with 100% certainty. The problem is I think that's why we have the problem that we have today. We have an attitude of where people are not releasing things. And my position was, look, if I sit on this, I'm never going to find an answer here because this video was not I don't have the capabilities of using, I don't have the technology to evaluate whether it's an AI video or what it is. And at the end of the day, I didn't claim that it was something more than what it is. I just simply said, this is the kind of stuff that as an elected official, I'm getting. People are dropping files anonymously to some of us members of Congress. And so rather than sit on it, I chose to release it and let the public decide what the video is about. And so I thought it was pretty benign, but
I honestly, I thought that the last hearing that you guys held was probably...
There you go. Now another one I want to go ahead and bring up here, Mike, is Gene's question that he had that was brought up at 1:11. Let's 10:53. Let's go to here right now. Now, this is Gene's question. Let me go ahead and show off our chat so we could actually show what your question was, Gene. How has the DOE Pentagon compartmentalization hindered oversight of U.S. and Russian, including Soviet-era, reverse engineering programs, including the late 90s technology transfers? Now, let's go ahead, and there was a bunch of other stuff added on here by Tyler. Let's go ahead and see how this is handled. Then I'd love to hear Gene's thoughts on this.
Department of Energy and Pentagon compartmentalization hindered oversight of U.S. and Russian, including the Soviet-era, reverse engineering programs, including the late 90s technology transfers.
So I think that the DOE is an agency that has probably not been looked at very, very much. And I think that's an area that we really need to be focusing on at this point. So there doesn't appear to be a whole lot of oversight over the Department of Energy and the secure programs within the DOE. And I think that Tulsi's team is trying to change that. They're trying to get at least some more oversight from the Office of Inspector General into the Department of Energy. And so hopefully there's some success that comes out of that.
Progress, yeah.
Yeah, Gene, now which part of his question didn't get answered, and how would you like to take this conversation?
Well, if you keep that up there, you can see that's that question was crafted in a very specific way, to have not be asking for opinions, but just laying out the facts that we know these things exist. We know there's the reverse engineering. And so, he basically just said, yes, we need to look at the Department of Energy. So kind of acknowledge something I don't think has really been talked about too much before. and what their role and ownership, would be in this. Where, we've a couple of weeks ago, we did a bit of a deep dive into the DOE, into the classification, into what is born restricted when it has anything to do with nuclear, and the knowledge that we have from the reverse engineering that the craft have nuclear components, and so that's where it falls. So I thought that was a good answer. I think the avoiding Pentagon compartmentalization and addressing U.S., Russian, Soviet era reverse engineering, technology transfer at the 90s. I think he was very happy to not answer that or dive into it or offer anything that would have basically confirmed, any answer pretty much would have confirmed those three parts. And so he, as any good politician, artfully avoided just addressing them all together.
Yeah. Here he is. Just one of those things, you look at the stuff that's out there and the truth that's happening, and there's just a lot of cover up, back into the statements about the DOE. I don't think the ODNI is going to be able to get any kind of an insight to what's going on, because the DOE, if you want to call the ODNI, is overall the different intelligence agencies of which the DOE is not part of. The only person in the DOE reports up to is the president himself. There is a potential tie going to the CIA as well, but they are beyond, if you want to call it Manhattan Project secrecy for everything that's been going on in there. And again, if you breach that security, you faced a firing squad for crimes against the United States of America.
Right. And the law itself is written that declassification comes directly from the Department of Energy. The president does not have the authority to declassify anything.
He does, but he has to have a signature from the head of the DOE, himself, and the head of the CIA. And if you have those three signatures, that is the only way any information can be declassified. So people were saying, let's go ahead and have Trump do an executive order to bring out the information that's in the DOE. His executive order won't be able to go anywhere unless they get the signatures from the other parties involved, from the trifecta. Right,
unless they include that as well. So there's a number of hurdles to overcome in any of that. But, I think, again, I just found it interesting, Burlison didn't try to address compartmentalization, didn't try to touch on reverse engineering to say, whether he's seen, we got to look into this reverse engineering closer, or to say, I have no knowledge of reverse engineering, which we know from even age of disclosure, a number of government officials are aware of it. So the sidestep was as telling as any answer. Yeah.
Now, getting back to stuff going on in Russia, we got a question here near the end of the podcast. Before he got into talking about Whistling Mike, George Knapp's files from the hearing that he got out of Russia have not yet apparently been released to the public. Let's go ahead and hear what Representative Burlison has to say about that. And I think this could be an eye-opener for a bunch of us, because he's actually looked at some of this stuff. And I can't wait to see where the truth lies. Let's get to it. Here we go.
One last thing. I'm sorry. I do apologize. The files that because I've been working with Gene on something, and I won't go into that part of it. I could talk to you about it off air because we only have a limited time, but the files that Knapp entered into congressional record about what he brought back from the Soviet Union, or formerly the Soviet Union and Russia. Is there anything can you describe what he gave you? Is there any NDAs prohibiting you from that, or
is that not made public? If it's not made public, we can make that public.
Please, if you could make that public, because it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, wow. I'll be happy to try to scan that in, and unless somebody stops me or for some reason, I'll be happy to make that public.
Well, like I said, Gene is a veteran, and he I don't want to give you the whole thing, but his father-in-law was the Soviet era, like it's in Latvia, what was formerly the Soviet Union. Very patriotic guy, the father-in-law. And Gene is married to, obviously, his daughter. He died, but in the inheritance, they got this like journal, this journal, and it was all about reverse engineering UFOs. Like not like writing, like a book. Like it's not a book. It's a mathematical, scientific. Maybe I can send it to you. It's wild. So that's why I ask, because there's a lot of ties there, especially with the nuclear topic as well. But so what could you say about the documents? I mean, is it what was brought back by NAP?
So a lot of it was some reports of that they uncovered some craft and their research and kind of trying to reverse engineer that craft. And I think one of the narratives was that there was a part of the craft that they were able to basically convert into some weapon, and for at least one period of time, we're able to activate it and utilize that weapon. So that's part of the description. But I believe the way it's described, it was used, and then it was never capable to be used again. But that's part of that narrative. I'll try to get that released if it isn't already.
Please.
I would have thought that I would have thought that the oversight committee would have put it up on the in our hearing notes.
I haven't found it, so I would definitely appreciate that. And I know others that would as well. So Eric, till our next discussion.
Yeah, great conversation though, Gene. Yeah, it just sounds like, there's some interesting things there. It almost sounds like what Burlison was going ahead and describing was something where you found a loaded pistol. You're able to shoot it enough times, but now that you've shot it, you've used up all the energy, or you used up all the rounds you have, and you don't have the knowledge or the intelligence on how to go ahead and recreate it.
Yeah, exactly. And, and again, David Grush has the documents. He's had them since July. He had them before the September hearing. And there were numerous times throughout that interview where Representative Burlison was talking about, David Grush and how great he is, and how he, brings everybody in, and and he wants people with receipts and all the rest of it. And, I'm laughing to myself. And in the same way, he talked about, he had met with Eric Mentel, who had worked down in Antarctica. And he, said, okay, yeah, well, not exactly in the UAP category, but he needs to bring the receipts. And then, he talked about the video of the Hellfire missile, and that, oh yeah, I wish somebody else came. And Borland and Jeff Nichitelli, who came forward and didn't bring any receipts. And here Ty is laying out, here's some receipts, but he's silent. Those aren't receipts he wants to look at or talk about, it seems. Or he's already seen them, and again,
he can't talk about it.
They can't talk about it. There's something there, and again, I'm hoping they're starting to get the picture. I have multiple channels to get these questions asked, and I'm determined to get an answer for them. And it's going to come from all sides and some of the most unexpected places that they're going to see. And they can try to not engage as long as they want to not engage, but the questions are out there. And I think, and I appreciate more and more people are asking those questions. Even, it's not even coming from me, coming from, folks back here and other things. And I appreciate that. And that's what we've got to do, is that you talk all the time about people wanting receipts. We have not only laid out the receipts, I'm laying out how, the path in which you can follow to get all of these answers that you're talking about, or at least move the ball down the road a little bit, move the needle as we talk about.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's still the only thing that I've found, at least, that allows that expanded conversation to happen. But man, they just don't want to engage with it.
They don't. They want to keep it quiet. They want to keep it to themselves or the people around them who send money their way or threaten them or whatever possibly can go on. It's just it's a puzzle and it's a game, and they're winning, unfortunately.
So, Gene, I have a question.
Sure.
Did Eric Burlison, when he was talking about George Knapp's notes, and we're familiar with George Knapp's notes because he's talked about it over the years. It was the Soviet Union Thread 3 UAP reverse engineering program, and George Knapp described it as, at the time, or even still till today, the largest in the world.
Correct.
But now, did Eric Burlison just say that the documents that were submitted to Congress that he saw have proof that the Soviet Union recovered a alien craft and actually reverse engineered it? Because that sounds like disclosure to me.
It doesn't sound like they reverse engineer. They've talked about this in the United States, that potentially we're harvesting parts from non-human intelligence craft that are brought down one way or the other to go ahead and, if you want to call that, use our existing technology platforms to enhance them, to bring alien-like at a much lower level technologies to some of our existing craft. And I'm going to go ahead and say we're not talking about the Tic Tacs here, folks. We're talking about other stuff.
So I'll rephrase the question, Gene. Is it that Burleson just admitted that the Soviet Union has recovered a non-human craft in their possession, and that's a fact? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And if that's the case, that sounds like disclosure. I mean, from a foreign adversary.
That is what he's talking about, you know. So we've again, what I've seen so far, and I don't know if there was a misunderstanding, because I did pose that question. So Ty didn't read it, exactly as I had written it in the chat afterwards, and I had bailed before I was able to actually even see that section. So I appreciate both to Ty for bringing it up and you, Thomas, for sharing it, because that's what I was asking. The Thread 3 documents, the core orders, those were made available on the congressional, on the Oversight Committee page as part of that. And then there was a part of it that they said was still classified or hadn't, yet been shared. And that's what it sounds like Burleson is talking about releasing, and the information contained in that is specific to what's now a relatively, well-known incident in Siberia of a craft coming down and there being an engagement in this weapon of some kind that was able to be fired, as he said, and they sort of got it working one time, never got it working again. But to your point, Mike, yeah, absolutely, he's talking about a government documents that detail the recovery and attempted reverse engineering of the craft, and based on the Thread 3 orders that were already public, I've got part of the work product of that.
You do, but the classified section that hasn't been released, even though he said he'll try to read it into the record so people can see it. If that really is actual documentation from the Soviet Union that they are in possession of non-human technology here on this earth, that will never be released and declassified. Because if it is, then we're getting disclosure from the Soviet Union and from our own government. So no, they're never going to release that to the public. Never happened. But I think it's interesting that Burleson explained it the way that he did, because it sounds a lot like disclosure to me. Now, I guess I wonder if he's going to get follow-up questions on that. But the problem is, unless they do actually read it into the record, declassify it, and release it, there's no proof.
Right.
He could just be talking out of his ass.
Right.
And then they're going to turn around and say that, this was just something he said that he couldn't back up. No receipts, like
Right.
Grush likes to say.
And
So
well,
we'll see where this goes, because I think actual disclosure at this point is now riding on this information if it comes out or not.
right.
Well, and I think that might be something good for the likes of Matt Laszlo to follow up on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, really quick, Gene, one of the things I want to bring up about the amazing book, Engineering Infinity, that you brought out earlier this year, it's a good blueprint of scientists figuring things out of potentially how they work, but we're not really looking at diagrams on how to reconstruct, how to take our current technology and get it. This is more of, let's tear this stuff apart as an engineering aspect and kind of figure out how it works.
Right, to an extent, exactly. It's explaining. It is him as the author explaining to somebody else how this works, and he uses various methods of doing that. And in a sense, there are elements that seem to be leaning towards a build plan, but it very much is focused on. This is the observation, the measurements. This is how it works based on what This is how it works based on what I can tell. And if it's working this way, then the math has to be this in order for it to work this way. Which gets into some of the the physics arguments I have with people who say it doesn't fit nicely in our known in our physics. So, well, it's obviously not going to if it wasn't built here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, if we can, are you still with us, Brian?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm actually holding a copy of Gene's book.
Oh, there you go.
Very well written. And Gene, I appreciate all of you and your father-in-law's work, as well as your wife. It is expensive, but I would encourage anybody to order it if they can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only because it's in all color. Where there's color, there's color.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Didn't hold back.
Exactly. Now, if we can, Brian, there was a splash of you talked about over on the Area 52 podcast from Jon Stewart. Let's go ahead and bring up a little intro here, and then we'll show this clip and get your reaction to it. I'm sure, I think you've seen it already, but let's have fun with it, Brian, eh? Let's get to it.
Absolutely.
So, coming from Jon Stewart, from Illinois, of course. You can say all you want about me, and people have, but the true angel and hero is the guy who helped get Victor's name and is going to help finish the story, and that is Brian Pemble, who's here on the show right now. And thanks to Chris Ramsey for letting me speak about Brian. What are we talking about? Brian, you actually worked with John to try and figure out where the alien interview came from, where it took place, who the person was who made the video and such. So before I get any deeper into this, let's play this 39-second clip, and I'll let you run with it. Here we go.
So Jeff said, I will give you the full name. I will give you the 2 cities that we picked him up at for the documentaries for $5,000.
Whoa, what a gatekeeper, this guy.
So my wife's like, you've already spent $27,000. You're not writing him a check.
For a couple cities.
The angel of angels came through. His name is Brian Pemble. He's a UFO researcher. He's on X from Tucson, Arizona. And he said, I will cover half. I want to know who Victor is. I had tears in my eyes, like, you are really going to help me do this? So
Brian, he doxed you. He said where you're from, but that's worth it, my friend. Good to see John talking about this. So tell us about this. How did you go ahead and get pulled into this and get the fund half of the money to go towards getting the alien interview information?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for hours about this, but I'll try and be short. I saw Jon Stewart on a podcast one time talking about how he really believed the Victor alien interview. And I know that perhaps you and Mike, this is not your thing. But I said, I really believe that too. And so I got with John, and I started talking with him over email and text message, and he would call me an idiot and all this other stuff. But I kept researching. I kept at it. And now we're really close. Because I do believe that John was wrong with Stan Deo, and I actually got Stan Deo and John on the same X space. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And Stan Dale says, no, it's not me. But we are really close, and John's a really good-hearted individual, and I've met him in person actually about 3 or 4 months ago, and he does really good work, and he actually has a lot of sources that a lot of people wouldn't believe. I can't reveal them. But a lot of really deep sources. Pretty much everybody in the UFO community communicates with John. So that should be known. And we've recently, I don't want to preemptively do anything here, but we may know, or we may have the ability to know who Victor from the 1997 interview really is. We know that he's still alive, but we may have the ability to find out exactly who he is. And so I've been assisting John. John's been doing most of the legwork. I've just been participating a little bit on my side time. But if we can find out who Victor is, I think I have a good idea of who it is. But I've been in contact with not only the director of the film, but the producer of the film as well from Rocket Pictures back in the day. Everybody's still alive. So I hope to have some good news for everybody. Whether or not you believe it or not, and it may completely be fake, but I think we're getting close to finding out exactly who it is. And I'm going to let John take the lead on that when he finds it out.
Exactly. Daryl, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, Brian, for people who may not know, including myself, I understand, I know what video you're talking about.
Hey, Mike, I'll let you run with this for a second. Go ahead, guys. I'll be right back.
But who's Victor? Who is the person? Is it the person talking to the alien?
Yeah, let me back up for the audience here. I apologize. There was a video released in 1997 that was the Victor alien interview. And Victor was the quote unquote whistleblower that was behind the voice covering and everything else, that was able to smuggle or get out a 3-minute video of an alien interview, which was done by 2 telepaths that were out of the Carthusian monastery in Vermont. And we've been able to find out who the people in that interview room were. Through what different sources, we've been able to corroborate those sources as well. And so our whole goal is to find out who Victor is or was, but apparently Victor is still alive. Not only did he do that interview with Rocket Pictures in 97, he also did another interview with Art Bell in 97. And then he came out in 2008 to do another interview. And so I'm really close on this guy right now. And look, figuring out who Victor is may prove the prominence of the film, whether it be real or fake. But I want you to know that I'm on it either way, and I don't care if it's real or fake. But we're really, really close on this.
Thanks for the clarification, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great conversation.
So where are you at now, Brian, with the process of all this? What's left? What's next?
Yeah, so I just, and I think some people know this, a couple of days ago, I got off a call with Tom Coleman, the producer of the original 1997 Rocket Pictures I don't know if you want to call it a documentary or what. And so I may be buying the rights to it. I don't know. Or John may be buying the rights to it.
How much is that going to cost?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into those kind of details, but part of it would go into escrow that we would in the name of Victor, and he's willing to provide that. And so I don't want anybody else trying to reach out to him or anything else, but yeah, we're really close on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting to say the absolute least.
And so that could be real or fake, Thomas, but, at least we would know.
Yeah.
So you're trying to locate the narrator of that film, is what you're saying, who was there, I guess, present at that time?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to locate a Victor. And so that's what John was on the Area 52 podcast with. He's got the same as me. And we've been talking to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably take hours, but yes, we are trying to locate the Victor who worked at Area 51 at that time, and he had access to the S24 Alpha levels 1, 2, 3, or 5, depending on how you want to count them, and provided that video. And apparently, even though he tried to say in 2008 he was dead, apparently he is still alive. And so I'm trying to locate this gentleman, and we are really close.
Yeah.
Well, didn't John come out publicly recently, a while ago, and make a statement that he's been investigating this for years, and he spoke with family members, and the individual had passed away, and he's giving up on this project because he doesn't want to move forward on it? He's respecting the family's
Well, times
wishes.
have changed, though, Mike.
Yes, and that has changed.
Yes, it has.
So I'm not promising anything to the community or anything, but it seems that was a 2008 psyop, and I've talked with other people since. And look, I know that Jon Stewart rubs some people the wrong way, and so do I, and that's fine. But in my investigation, this is getting a little more interesting than we think. Yeah. And so I do believe that he is in his 80s and still alive, and hopefully one day I'll talk again.
Do you think you'll find out in 2026?
I think we may find out at the end of January, possibly.
So there's things going on behind the scenes. We're not going to get completely filled in, but you'll keep us appraised as it goes on. Potentially.
Yep. So hopefully at the end of January, let's just say, give me 10 days after January, we'll let you know a little further. I'm not making any promises, but yeah, it is getting pretty close.
Oh, God, you got to get ready for that book deal next, and then the movie rights, Brian.
That's up to other people, but yes, those are actually in the talks, Thomas. Believe it or not.
Interesting. Quickly, if you've been watching the show, having a good time, we got 252 people watching. It's going to drop whenever I say it. Please give us you've been watching the show for almost 2 hours now. You haven't subscribed. Please give us a subscribe. And if you haven't given us a thumbs up or thumbs down, thumbs up is preferred. We'd appreciate it. Great way to start off the new year, eh, Brian?
Yes, absolutely. And as Mike always says, right, if you don't like it, you get a
double your money back free
guarantee.
Right. And the cost is free. That's right.
The cost is free with a double your money back guarantee. There we go.
Correct.
Got to enjoy it. Oh, wow. Some of the times it's just like you have to ask questions like,
you like movies about gladiators?
I haven't watched a good gladiator movie in a while. Hey, you, Mike?
No, not since Russell Crowe's gladiator movie. That was the last one I saw.
Oh, you got to have fun with it. My goodness. Yeah.
And Mike or Thomas, by the way, if you ever want John on, he's a great guest and a really good guy. he would be happy to come on.
I'll have to have a call with him one day soon. With you, of course. Exactly. Mike, what a great show here, my friend.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground today. Very interesting.
Oh, did I look at my posts? Is there anything? Did we get rebroadcast on X? I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's what it's from. Let's go ahead and see if there's anything I missed in my bookmarks. Come on, X, behave. Bookmarks? No, that's messages. Why can't I get to my bookmarks? Goddamn, I don't think there's anything I missed. We got the dead. I wanted dead or alive. All right. A little piece here coming from Dr. Gary Nolan. Interesting news for everybody to go ahead and check out. You may appreciate this one. Where did that go? Pull that off to the side. Bring it up here. Got a lot of likes on this one today. It was a repost coming from Gary Nolan, going ahead and doing a response back to some people asking about what he's up to, what's going on. And apparently some people have been reaching out to him for interviews and going under the advice from Matt Ford at the Good Trouble Show podcast. Let's go ahead and bring up this little post here from Gary Nolan. And this is a letter sent to Gary Nolan. And what's going on to what that means is move it up a little bit. Hard to scroll. Said, "Hi, Dr. Nolan. I'm reaching out from the Wall Street Journal because we're looking into a story related to UAP issues and hope to chat with you for the piece. I understand you may be busy wrapping up the end of the semester, but might have some time to talk later this week. Please let me know if there is a good time to reach out to you. Sincerely, coming from the Wall Street Journal." Gary's reply to it is, "Not interested in the slightest. Have a pleasant holiday season." Yeah, it sounds like Mike, Wall Street Journal, for some reason, is trying to do a hit piece on disclosure, and Gary is not having anything of it. Are you surprised?
No, not at all. Good for Gary. He was right on top of it. He caught it.
Yeah. Well, but we got to go ahead and thank Matt Ford for warning people that this is what's going to be going on in the near future. All right, we've covered your new sheriff status.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got
but
that.
There's one other thing about the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
That we can share with the audience. They are also going to be focusing on, believe it or not, and now that I am the newly appointed sheriff of X, they're going to be taking content out of X Spaces for their articles. And the reason that they are planning on doing that is because they consider it to be a public space, like a press conference. So any information that is shared publicly on an X space is considered to be newsworthy, and the Wall Street Journal is now going to have reporters listening in on it to see what they can take from it. And I have a feeling, like what Gary Nolan had said to the reporters that reached out to him, any information they're going to try to get out of these spaces is probably not going to be favorable for disclosure.
Oh, hell no. Not even close. Not even close, Mike. Well, I do have something that's closer to all of our heart. It's money. It's taxes. We all hate taxes. We got the new year. We got a new tax year coming our way. Did you know that right now it's estimated we have $1.5 trillion in fraud going on coming out of our federal government? If we recover that money and it's not spent, right now, the United States government collects $2.4 trillion a year in income tax. What that would mean is anyone who makes $500,000 or less should not have to pay taxes if they can recover that fraud. I vote for that.
Yeah, I vote for it too, but I don't think that's going to be the case, Thomas.
Oh, of course not.
I hardly doubt it. Money within the government tends to disappear very quickly. Almost as soon as they find it, it's gone.
Oh, I know. They find it one way or the other. But hey, in New York, we got a lot of great stuff going on there. You've got your new mayor, Zoran Mandami, who's out there, who stunned New York a couple weeks ago. He's putting Ramzi Qasim, who was the 9/11 al-Qaeda defense lawyer, in charge of the chief counsel of the city of New York. My God, man, you've got a great city to look forward to in this year.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like I'm going to be living in Seattle soon. Portland. Great.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. We've both got him going. We've both got him going, my friend. All right. And I think that about wraps it. Yes. One of the things we brought on New Year's is something I will keep on showing and say, this is the real reason they want robots, Mike. The reason they want robots is because they are there not to serve man. They are there to be used to control man. Oh my God, we're hitting the Terminator already. It's only 2026. What the hell? But yeah, they've got them. This is the Engine AI T8000 or T800. Casually joining the police patrol.
It's the T800. They named it after the Terminator from the movies.
I know. Yeah, the T1000.
Yeah, but they called this one the T800. They want to put the fear of God into people.
Yeah, there it goes in the
Sounds to
neighborhood.
me like James Cameron can sue the shit out of it if he wanted.
But everyone keeps on talking about the movie coming out from Spielberg that's coming from, going to be about UFOs later this year. I'm looking forward to the action thriller that has Grush going ahead and also being an advisor on that one that's coming out from Jerry Bruckheimer, the guy who does like Top Gun and all those blow 'em up kind of movies and thrillers.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of action, we know for a fact, in that movie.
Oh, gosh, yes. Even better.
And we know what Grush is doing moving forward, why he's probably leaving Congress shortly this year to go work on that movie.
Well, he's already been working on it, Mike. It's in production. It's not like it's something that's just going to pop up. Yeah, for some reason, they need a vest. I think it's to make them look more like cops than anything. There's no vest in this part of the picture. And this one here, yes, he's actually wearing the police vest. Not exactly why, but it just says, yes, there's nothing that says police, like police on a bulletproof vest. But it shows, at least these guys may be penetrable by a weapon. How about that? On that note, Mike, it's been one heck of a great show. Great having you out here today on this episode of Disclosure Tonight. I want to go ahead and thank some people who threw out some super chats our way. Who in the heck am I talking about? Can I find the button? Oh, yeah, we got one from Mia Laura, 119. Happy New Year's. Thank you for the tonight's show. Absolutely thank you. We appreciate it, Mia Laura. What a great show. What a great opportunity to hang out with friends. Mike, it's been wonderful. Audience, thank you for Gene and everyone in the back. It's been a great show.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in, Gene. Always good to see you, my friend.
Thanks as always. Love being here. Best to everybody.
Absolutely. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure Tonight, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everybody. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you soon. Y'all come back now. Here.